Welcome to the most listened to Australian golf podcast. This is Talk Birdie To Me, and it's week 19 of the golfing year. Today, we're live from the Peter Thompson Room at the Australian Golf Centre, home of Golf Australia and the PGA of Australia. And as usual, big thanks to the team at Ping. They'll help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional and arrange a Ping Club fitting. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. Sam and the team beat everyone's prices. Drop in and see them in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth, or online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And to the new Watch My Numbers app. It's the most powerful database golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. Play smarter and use your data. Now, former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and former Tour Pro Mark Allen. This is Talk Birdie To Me.
I'm playing your place this week.
Which Cathedral?
Yeah, how many golf courses are you a member of?
Well, the National.
Yeah. Woodlands.
Matt Lawley.
Woodlands and Cathedral.
Yeah, I'm playing Cathedral.
Nice.
And
are you going by car or are you taking the chopper?
No, taking the,
Oh.
get the chopper. Yeah, we're getting the chopper.
Rockstar stuff.
And I won't say who's hosting because I haven't got permission to say those things.
Okay.
I know how golf clubs are, but you know what I did? Because people are looking after me,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to get the people I'm playing with a gift. They're all football people.
Yep.
So Titleist have the ability to print whatever number you want on the ball.
Love it.
So I'm getting a few. It's a very, very good service.
Great idea.
Isn't that good?
Mm.
Now, people, AFL people out there will know. I'm putting number 16 on a ball for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting number 42 on a Titleist for another.
Mm-hmm.
And the other bloke's not getting anything. The other bloke's I've looked after him with golf clubs.
Here's a question for you. If you could have what number would you have on the ball?
I'd have 16 as well. Number of premierships Collingwood have won.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. You?
Right.
What would you do?
I'd go 33.
Why 33?
Larry Bird.
That makes sense.
I love Larry Bird. He's fantastic.
Have you seen those docos with Larry and
they're
Magic?
So good.
It's the one that's about three. There's three of them. It's so good.
Brilliant. Those two, they changed everything.
They did. They changed absolutely everything, as are Ripper GC.
Oh, they are.
You and I were laughing at Ripper GC last year because they were hopeless.
Yeah.
And now they have gone back to back.
Well, they weren't hopeless. They were just struggling.
No, they were hopeless.
Okay.
Nick. They were finishing second half of the teams every single week.
Well, the team that is hopeless is the Majesticks at the moment.
Who's in that team?
Oh, I think it's they got 4 captains. I think.
Oh, okay.
They might have. Is it Stenson and Westwood and that team? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up.
The oldies team.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. He's really not playing well, is he, Henrik?
Well, when he first went across, he was delisted as Ryder Cup captain for going to live, and then he won straight away.
Yeah.
Obviously, that got the juices flowing, but they've been struggling.
Did he actually shoot the greatest ever final round in an Open Championship? The 63
Greatest weekend, I think.
Was it the greatest weekend?
I think. Well, it bettered the Jewel in the Sun. Remember that back in '77 with Watson and Nicholas at Turnberry.
Listener, if you haven't seen the Jewel in the Sun doco, you're not welcome on this podcast anymore. Off you go. Or have a listen to it, have a watch of it, and report back next week via our socials. The Jewel in the Sun doco with Jack Nicholas and Tom Watson at Turnberry in 1977. No, it wasn't 1977. 1976, 1975?
77.
77,
It
thank
was
you.
77.
Right. It was unbelievable.
I just found out who's on the Majesticks. It's Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Henrik Stenson, and Sam Horsfield.
Okay. Old, and not so old, but not going so well.
Sam's a member, I think, at my old club in the US, Isleworth.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right. I'll get back to Isleworth a little bit later.
All right.
In the show. Brooks wins 4. Good on him.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, good on him.
Becomes
well
the third live player to do so.
Yeah. Have you played that golf course?
Sentosa, yes. Used to play the Singapore Open. It is a strong, strong golf course.
There is that. The water is in play.
Everywhere.
Oh, mate.
And the rough, when I played it, was juicy.
Yeah.
If you shot under par for 4 days, when we played the Singapore, they used to set it up like a US Open. It was crazy tough. But ominous signs.
Yeah.
Ominous. I mean, the last major Brooks won was the PGA last year.
Yep.
Was it last year? Yeah, and he almost won the Masters last year after winning in Orlando. And before that, he'd been playing pretty ordinary. Same sort of thing happened. He didn't have a great Masters, hasn't really been playing that well. And then all of a sudden, the form rises just before the major that he's won, 3 times?
Yes.
He's won the PGA 3 times and 2 US Opens.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, he hasn't won a British Open.
No.
Won 2 US Opens.
No Masters. Yeah, that makes sense.
3 PGAs.
Yep. One shy of the 6-pack.
Yeah. And, well, if he wins 6, he's the best player of this generation comfortably. I mean, he and Rory are on 5 majors each. But I think he is made for the majors. And I think he's going to win. How many do you reckon? Give us an estimate. I reckon he'll win 8.
8's about the good number, I think.
I reckon you'll finish with 8 majors, Brooks Koepka. Can we just talk about TPC Craig Ranch? I don't want to talk about the tournament necessarily because I know you've got them lined up in the Ping Global results.
Mm-hmm.
That golf course looked so bad on the TV.
Oh, jeez. You've come in hot, haven't you?
Well, what...
Well, when you've got preferred lies, it's never a good sign, is it?
I'm talking about what frames that golf course. And I'm a big what frames a golf course person. I mean, if it looks nice, then it's a beautiful walk. But that golf course, the way the trees looked, the way their creeks looked, it just looks unkept.
You used to live near there, right?
Yeah, that's right. I used to live in Allen, Texas, would you believe?
Own the town. Mayor of Allentown.
I think it goes like Plano, Allen, then where this joint is. Where is it? McKinney or something? Yeah. There's like 3 suburbs in a row. But the Byron Nelson, it got moved away from that other joint because it was no good.
Yeah, Los Colinas.
I used to work at the sister course. Los Colinas had 2 courses. They had where the Byron Nelson was being played, and now it's where a Champions Tour tournament gets played. It was played there a couple of weeks ago. It's just having... I mean, there's a golf club in Dallas called Dallas National.
Yes.
It's really good. It's one of those golf courses where, there's only 150 members. Caddies are in the white overalls. It's one of those joints. The who's who of Dallas are members there. What a shame they can't just get on that joint because it deserves better. The Colonial down the road at Fort Worth, famous.
Well, as I mentioned before, they don't play the best golf courses on the PGA Tour. The courses they play, I mean, this was a TPC course, which is owned by the PGA Tour, which is one of the reasons they go there. Yeah. And you're right, it should have been in much better standard and maybe beautify it and perhaps... Well, we're talking to Steve Kuipert later this week in a bonus pod about the top 100 courses in Australia. Maybe they need to look into some of the criteria that goes into the top 100 courses.
That's what we're going next. We're going to the top 100 in just a second.
Oh, okay.
At least, we've got Shady Oaks and the Colonial down there at Fort Worth that are really good places to play golf. Dallas just... I don't know.
Yeah.
They've got some good clubs.
I get it.
Dallas Athletic Club's fantastic. There are some really good golf courses, but my God, TPC.
Okay, I'm going to start.
Craig Ranch was just hopeless.
You've just influenced my top 5.
Have I?
Yeah, I think I might have to do top 5 worst courses on tour.
Good.
Nick, you said a moment ago they don't play the best courses on the tour. So, from a hack question,
sure.
Why don't they?
A lot of the time, the infrastructure just isn't there to host tournaments like that. You need the surrounding towns and things like that, and the space especially. A lot of the best courses in the world don't have the space around it that's needed to host tournaments. A lot of them don't want tournaments there at the same time. They like their privacy of the golf club and things like that as well. There's a number of factors that go into it. Otherwise, you'd be some of the best courses in the world,
Pine
especially
Valley,
Pine Valley.
Point.
But in the UK, Royal Dornoch and all those sorts of ones, they'd be going to them every week if they could. But unfortunately, there's just no room.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, I mean, I found Cypress Point is the best golf course I've ever played in my life. Yeah. But it was also very easy. It wasn't, to me, it was an easy golf course. I got it on a ripper day.
If you get it on a calm day, it's certainly gettable.
It was
get a bit of breeze.
It was not a breath. It was almost like playing in under a dome, and it was an easy golf course. I mean,
how fast were the greens?
Yeah, they were pretty quick.
Because they can get them slick.
Yeah, they were quick. They were sort of sandbelt sort of style quickness.
You just cruised around in 66?
I was actually 4 under walking up to the 16th hole. I'll tell the story. So the 16th hole, again, listener, just Google 16th at Cypress Point right now. The members played as a par 4, but it's a 240 yards straight across this huge, what would you call it?
Chasm
of water, of the Pacific Ocean. So I'm 4 under par, and I hit 3 balls in a row into the water. That was the end of my round.
You can go short, right, or left.
Yeah,
where did you go?
Short.
Oh, really?
Yeah, short with a 5-wood. I'm trying to knock a 5-wood. I thought.
Anyway, you have a 3-wood in the bag. You know that, right?
And I didn't even care. I was just so happy to be there. And then 17 and 18, you know, I find, you know, a lot of people say it's the best 17-hole golf course in the world because 18's no good. 18's fantastic. I really like the 18th hole. I don't know what people are talking about when they say that sort of stuff. But last week when we finished, as usual, the big story of the week came out the very next day, which was the Golf Digest Top 100. And we saw that Royal Melbourne West had been overrun by Cape Wickham. Now, you haven't played Cape Wickham, so
I haven't.
You can't make comment.
No.
But I will. It's not even close.
Really?
Cape Wickham's a wonderful, wonderful place to play.
Would you?
More than likely a top 10 course in the country.
Okay.
But it is not even close to going past Royal Melbourne West. Not even close.
And why is that?
Because spectacular doesn't count for great golf.
Okay.
Spectacular counts for spectacular.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because there's a course in my top 5 that is spectacular.
Is it?
But it's not a great course.
Yeah, there you go. So that's right. And, you know, some of the holes are great, but they're not Royal Melbourne holes.
Okay, yep.
You know, and Royal Melbourne's spectacular in its own way. But there is there's an intangible. There's an intangible that must be in golf course rating. And, you know, the criteria, I had a read of the criteria. After it came out, I went and had a look at the criteria.
Okay.
It's too much criteria, in my view. The criteria is congested. And you've got to, you know, all these voters, I'm not sure, I think there's over 200 of them. All the panel at Golf Digest, they've got to kind of report back via criteria. That's what it seems like to me anyway.
So they rate things out of 10, basically.
Yeah. There's no need for that.
Okay.
If it's the top 100, then that's it. That's your criteria. The best golf courses in the country. Simple as that. Because if there is a criteria, when you look at it, yes, there is a criteria for, the word's not spectacular, but that's kind of what it is. And you can just see that's why Cape Wickham has got to number 1, because it is a spectacular place. But this is how I do it. Would you want to play there every day for the rest of your life?
Yep.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't want to play that golf course every day for the rest of my life. I'm much happier playing Royal Melbourne West, or even better the composite course, because the composite course is that much better than Royal Melbourne West. Is not even funny, but they don't rate that one for some reason. Maybe you know what we should.
They don't rate it because you can't play it every day of the year. They only probably play it 3 or 4 days of the year where they actually change the members are allowed to play the composite maybe a couple of times a year, I believe.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. So they can't rate it because you can't play it.
Yeah. Well, the Australian Open's played on it.
But I guess that's one of the questions around Cape Wickham. I mean, how many days of the year could you play there, given the breeze obviously gets up quite a bit?
Yeah, these Tasmanian courses, when I do my top 8, 9, 10 golf courses, the Tassie courses aren't in there. It's because when I've been down there, I've had to play in 7 and 8 day wind, 7 and 8 club winds.
7 to 8 clubs,
mate. My buggy gets blown over. You know those, the great big buggies they've got down there. They haven't got the little low ones. They've got these ones with the great big wheels.
Oh yeah.
They look like a kangaroo kind of.
Yep.
When I played Barnbougle for the first time, it was getting blown over.
Wow.
No matter where you left it. It was so windy. My face, one guy in our group, his face was getting sandblasted so badly that he walked in. It was just sand. His face literally got sandblasted.
Wow.
Now, you just can't play there every day. So even like the windiest day at Kingston Heath and the windiest day at Royal Melbourne is not that bad. The windiest day at Peninsula Kingswood North, it's never that bad, and that's got to be taken into it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned before about the criteria, Mark, and you were saying there's only one criteria that really should be. That's the playability one.
No, not the playability.
Every
just
day.
The best. If it's the top 100 courses, it's just that. It's the top. What courses are the best?
Okay. Devil's advocate.
Yes.
And I'm going to pretend I'm at Golf Digest for a second. If that's your criteria, that's a very subjective criteria.
Yes.
So having their, whatever it is, 5 or 6 or 7 criteria points that every single person who judges it has to have a rating on, I imagine what they're trying to do is trying to flatten it out and try to give a consistent criteria that is or measurable.
Yeah.
Is that a fair point?
I think that's why they do it, but they shouldn't, in my view. In my view, to get something that's really accurate as we possibly can, is you get 20 people who you think have an understanding, and this is the hard bit. It's the person in charge. These 20 people have to have an understanding, and with our budgets here in this country, I would just do a top 50. I wouldn't do a top 100. I would do a top 50, and I would make sure that these 20 people went to what I consider the best 80 golf courses or 90 golf courses in the country, and then we talk business. And it's very simple. You give a golf course a score out of 100. That's it. What's this golf course out of 100? Royal Melbourne West, 97. Really simple.
I get it. A lot of people will go, well, how did you get to that number? That's the thing. So that's where you do need some of this criteria.
That's right. That's where you've got to be able to separate the spectacular coastline of King Island and, the beautiful rolling sandhills and tea tree and, some of the old pines and, some of the gorgeous old trees that were planted at Royal Melbourne all those years ago that they kind of half want to knock down these days. I hope they don't.
So what you're saying is TPC Craig Ranch won't make your top 100.
TPC Craig Ranch, it may well have sheep running around it in 20 years' time.
Well, it's going to be real interesting on Thursday. We'll have a bonus pod where we'll talk to Steve Kuiper. He's the bloke who's in charge of that top 100 list, and we can put these questions to him.
Did you see my little Twitter spat on?
Yeah, it's going back and forth.
I saw you lining people up, having a crack right, left, and centre.
I just want to say before we
get to you love a Twitter fight.
I'm up for it.
Yeah,
I'm up for it. I just want to say to people who might have caught that spat, it comes from a place of passion, not from a place where I hate Steve Kuiper Golf Digest.
No.
I'm just passionate about this stuff. I'm passionate about this stuff. And Cape Wickham just isn't the number one golf course in the country. It's funny, I spoke to Duncan Andrew, who owns it. I was a guest speaker at Flinders last weekend. And by the way, Flinders, if we're talking about spectacular golf courses, Flinders is an absolute beauty. It's almost a forgotten treasure that we have in this country, Flinders Golf Course. It is a beauty. And the fourth hole, the coffin hole, is an absolute winner. It's a magnificent joint.
I love Flinders. It's great.
Flinders is a sensational
brilliant
golf
opening
course.
hole. You get on the coastline down there. Peter Thompson used to play down there before Open Championships, is what I've been told.
Yep.
And I love it. It's great.
And so that should be on the list if we're talking about being the most spectacular. But you can't. It's just got to be an all-around view of somebody who understands golf.
Okay.
Very, very simple.
Well, speaking of Australian Golf Digest, they did a bit of did they retweet something from the Shark about...
No, I saw it as a story.
It was a story, was it?
It was a story, yeah.
About the PGA and Live and all that sort of thing?
Well, Greg Norman wasn't happy with the PGA of Australia because he didn't mention the name Ripper GC.
Oh, I see.
And it's not the first time, in his view, which I think is right. Which I think is right.
So the PGA were congratulating the Australians for winning, but they didn't say Team Ripper or
well, they didn't,
Live Golf.
They didn't get into the spirit of Live Golf in their congratulations. What I gleaned from Greg Norman's
I'll have to look it up.
Tweets and things like that. Did you speak to anyone at the PGA this week? Did you...
Well,
get a response?
I'm always, not always in contact, but chatting, with the tournaments obviously coming up here in Australia and things like that. The thing with the PGA and with Live Golf that you have to realise is, and a lot of people go, well, PGA and Golf Australia, they don't blah, blah, blah. Well, Golf Australia really doesn't have anything to do with Live Golf, to be honest. Although I think...
Hang on, Golf Australia just signed up to some junior
they
stuff.
They did something at Live Adelaide, didn't they? Because,
they did.
And the thing you got to realise is the PGA of Australia has an allegiance, a strategic alliance, allegiance, whatever you want to call it, with the European or DP World Tour.
That's right.
So there's some business relationships going on there, whereas Golf Australia doesn't have that. They usually run amateur events. The only one they're really involved with is the Australian Open. Yeah, so they can almost do whatever they want, I suppose you could say. But the PGA of Australia, well, it is a different story there. So they're going to probably not go and promote Live Golf or anything like that for obvious reasons, because they have an alliance with the DP World Tour. Now, at the same time, I don't think really anyone goes to them and say, do you have any comment on it? I don't think they really get approached at all. So they just want to congratulate the Aussie boys, say well done, and away you go. And then obviously Greg Norman has come along and said what he said.
Right. So just to put things into perspective here, I've got the tweet from the PGA of Australia.
Okay. There's
a fabulous picture of the Australian boys in the champagne, like they do Grand Prix style
doing
afterwards.
Shoeies.
Well, they weren't quite at the shoey stage. They'll just spray on each other with the champagne at this stage. From the PGA of Australia site, these guys are on a roll. Well played, Cam, Mark, Matt, and Lucas. Singapore team's title, and then they've got a little trophy and champagne.
Gotcha.
Cam and Leash tied second, and there's a golfer with a flex muscle. So Greg's looked at that and said, that's not good enough. We want you to get into the spirit of Live. Sorry, Greg, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what it sounds like to me. But, when you see the picture of it, it kind of got into the spirit of it. Look, I think, there's a bit of back and forth at the moment between Live people and non-Live people, and the perception that the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia aren't on board with what's happening over there. But I look at that tweet, I think that's done in the right spirit.
Yeah, looks fine to me.
Look, with the picture and the boys celebrating.
Yeah, and for obvious reasons, as I said just earlier, with their relationship with the DP World Tour, they're not going to go down that route, but they want to congratulate the Aussie boys on a great win. But I heard it was, again, from people that went there, some other sources were sort of saying, do you know how much they spent on the whole thing? I mean, it's unbelievable numbers. I was there last year, as I said in previous pods, when this happened last year with SEN Radio, and I just remember the build-out. They're going, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
They must have spent tens of millions on the build-out. And then
it was bigger this year.
And it was bigger, exactly. And then you got to think, well, how much does the TV production cost? And I've heard somewhere in the figures around, $7 or $8 million, and I don't think they make any money off that. It's them paying for everything. And then there are other obvious costs as well. The prize money was
30 mil, wasn't it?
30 million, is that what it was?
I think it was something in that, like the total.
Yeah. I mean, they sold out in merchandise and things like that. I don't see them making that much money, but
they're not selling 30 mil of merch, I think.
No, exactly. So there's quite a budget they have anyway.
So what? Yeah, it's interesting when you look at all those numbers, Nick and Mark, and you go, okay, well, how could they turn to profit? And there's just
because
they
they're
wouldn't
not.
Have. No, they wouldn't have. So
their long-term goal is the team franchise model of hopefully selling them off for, I don't know, $700-800 $1 billion for a team or something like that. Until it happens, they're burning cash basically.
Well, it's funny you say that because a fella who is in production of all the Live events has been talking to me quite a bit just of late. And I asked him whether he'd come on and talk us through the values of what they do. And he's really keen to come on and talk.
That'd be great.
He's really, really keen.
Awesome.
He heard our comments last week and wanted to come on and the comments where I said that the caddies said a few players wouldn't be there at the end of their contracts.
Right.
James put in a call, which is great, spoke to me about it. He says that Bubba and DJ James from Live Golf is saying they are locked in. They're going forward. So that's from his point of view. Mm-hmm. And he didn't really have much idea with Brooks what he was going to do.
Okay.
But he wanted, for the sake of fairness, to make sure that we mentioned it this week. So, James, thanks for that. We appreciate it. He also said that those guys are locked in until 2026, the end of 2026, 5-year deals.
Was it 5
Yeah,
years?
That's according to James.
I
So
thought
we'll
it was
ask him
3
when
and
we get him
4
on.
year deals. Okay.
Yeah, so he seemed to think they were 5-year deals. So I'm really keen to get to James at some stage. I know we've got a lot of bonus pods to do, but we've got to get to him at some stage as well, because to get all that information from him would be very, very interesting. We've got to get a party by him.
Okay.
I'll see you on the 10th tee.
Yep. You eat that and I'll get my wrap.
Thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to Me, and if you're up for it, we'd love you to subscribe, rate and share the podcast wherever you listen. And thanks to our great partners who make the show possible, Ping, they'll help you play your best, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world, and the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Now, back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
So you're talking about all the golf courses you're a member of at the start of the podcast, and you're not wearing your customary Ping golf shirt today. You're wearing your Isleworth number.
It's called Isleworth,
Whatever.
not Islesworth.
Which is the best club you've ever been a member of?
The best club?
Yeah. I imagine you've been a member of quite a few. The West Australian clubs, the lot.
Well, it's like naming your best child, isn't it? Favourite child.
We'll get to that next.
Look, I love, I must admit, I love the National because you've got so many different courses to play. I can't wait for the fourth one to be done as well. And Cathedral, where you're going next later on this week.
Yes.
Later on this week.
Going on
That's
Friday.
spectacular as well.
I'll report back.
I grew up playing at Mount Lawley, which is getting redone. As you see, I'm avoiding the question.
Yeah, you
so,
are.
yeah, I'm not going to say which. So.
What about Isleworth?
Isleworth over in the US, yes. That was spectacular as well and was great while we were... It's one of those courses where... When you go to the driving range, they'll say, well, what balls do you use? Well, Titleist. Okay, well, what sort of Titleist? And things like that. So you get
and then they bring out a bucket of Pro V1Xs.
Exactly, whatever you want. And each pro, while you're there, they did the same thing. And they'd set the course up how you wanted for major tournaments coming up. I think I mentioned before. So,
Shoes polished before you get out in the golf course.
Oh,
Go
yes.
to your locker, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Yeah, the guy was on the buff grinder.
Yeah.
Top five.
Okay, the top 5 this week, and since you mentioned TPC Craig Ranch, where they played the CJ Cup for the Byron Nelson tournament.
It was a fair dinkum ranch.
Yeah, so in honour of that, I'll go top. And look, these golf courses, they're not terrible courses. They're just some of the worst that I've played on the PGA Tour and the European Tour.
Not
I'm going
up to PGA Tour standard.
I'm going for both sides of the pond. That way I don't, so I'm going to get slaughtered around the world for these comments. But look, still go play them if you dare wish.
I like it when you get slaughtered.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's been plenty of that this past week. So anyway, on the we start with the PGA Tour, number 5.
Yeah.
Palm Beach Gardens, where they hold what's called the Cognizant Classic now, was the Honda.
Right. Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah, that's where maybe it was something else. Palm Beach National might have been called. Jack Nicklaus design. Not my favourite golf course. A slog around Florida, lakes and things like that. It had the bear trap, which was kind of fun, but not my favourite golf course in the world. That's number 5. Number 4, heading across to Switzerland, Crans-sur-Sierre.
Is that the one where they play the Evian?
Yes.
Garbage?
Views are unbelievable, spectacular. But Sebi redesigned it many, many years ago, and he made the greens all upside down saucers so that you couldn't keep the ball on there, and it was just a short game contest. Right. So I actually played well around there, but it's not the greatest course in the world.
Just as well the course isn't in Australia, because if you've got spectacular views, it might be number 1.
Oh, come on, Mark. All right. Number 3, speaking of spectacular views, some of the best you will find on the PGA Tour down there in San Diego.
Don't you dare.
Torrey Pines.
Oh, my, really?
Yep, not a great course. Not a great course at all. Power greens have 3-footers where you just miss the hole completely, and you wonder what happened.
I played there just before they had the US Open there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on the way over to Augusta, and they hadn't cut the rough for months.
Yeah.
It was
brutally tough.
It was so stupid. We had all these guys who just love golf. They're all 20 markers playing it. And the poor buggers, they must have lost a truckload of balls. And they all had 150 each.
Well, before that US Open, they had that competition they do in the US. Can a 5 handicapper break 100?
That's
and
right.
I don't think anyone did. 105 might have been the best.
No, I shot 75.
Number 2, the greatest disappointment in my coach's life when he visited. He said, Nick, I want to play this golf course just around the corner from Isleworth. I said, Neil, we don't want to go there. It's not a good course. Bay Hill.
Jeez,
He walked off, and he's gone, well, what a load of crap that was.
Gee, true you were.
I did warn him
before. Yeah, that's good.
I did warn him. Yeah, it's not the greatest. Look, it's got, I think the finishing holes, 16, 17, 18 are quite good, but the rest of the course, not so much.
Looks nice on the TV.
It looks fantastic on the TV.
Looks much better than TPC Craig Ranch.
Yes. Well, that's not in my list because I've never played it.
Yeah, okay.
And number one, again, has two really good golf holes. We're across in the middle of England now. The 10th hole and the 18th hole are fantastic, and it's where we actually met, Wilbur and I. It's where he first came on the bag, played the first 2 rounds. My wife, Alana, was caddying, and she said, Nick, we need to find a caddy, and she found Wilbur.
The Belfry or something?
He caddied for me at the Belfry.
There we go.
There you go. He's been my caddy for a long, long time after.
Because you said the 10th hole. Is that the 10th hole where Seve
knocked it on? Yeah.
Famous.
Great little par 4 round the corner. So down the hill and in amongst the trees. And 18's a good finishing hole as well, but the rest of it, not so much.
Yeah. There's another one for you to look up, folks. Seve Ballesteros, 10th hole, Belfry. Do yourself a favour.
And also the 18th. Oh, no, they never got that on film, did they? Nick Faldo said the greatest shot he ever saw was Seve hitting a 3-wood out of the fairway bunker on 18 onto the green.
Over all the water?
Over all the water.
Oh, my
From
God.
the upslope. Nick's going, I'd just lay it up with a wedge, and Seve pulled the 3-wood out and knocked it on. So
ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway,
What a
but
freak.
apologies to some of those golf clubs. Look, I still enjoyed playing them, but as a competitor rather than a fan of the golf course.
Everybody needs feedback, Nick.
Bring it on.
Even golf courses and even former professionals.
Okay.
Hello, Dan.
Well, we have had quite a bit of feedback this week. We've got a lot to get through. We've got some questions for you guys, which would be good, and a couple of whacks. In fact, quite a few whacks.
For Nick?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Bit of both.
Disappointing.
Yeah, a bit of both.
Go on.
Okay, Adam Clydesdale has written in. Interesting comments to start the show last week, boys, on Cape Wickham. Lads, things change. Royal Melbourne isn't number one anymore and doesn't have a sense of entitlement. That's how it is. Times change, just as they have with Live. To be unsure that is the number one golf event in Australia, as you were, is to be out of touch. It has the best field, attracts the most interest nationally and internationally, and has the biggest crowds. It isn't even close. That's a double whack.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is. There's a few good points there. The Australian Open doesn't get 94,000 through the gates in 4 days, let alone 3. So you made a few good points, but if I'm a kid growing up and I'm practicing away, I still want to win the Australian Open first. If I had a choice between winning Adelaide, Live Adelaide and the Australian Open, I'm taking the Australian Open every single day of my life.
You are just encouraging people, Mark.
Well, it's a fact.
It's a fact, yeah.
Okay.
You're the same, Nick.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
The majors and your National Open.
Thank you.
Dan Parnell has written in. Dan has said, hey, Nick and Marco, we went to Live Adelaide from Perth, and I agree with you, Nick, very hard to watch on TV. I find the background noise, the background music really annoying, but it's not overwhelming on the course outside of the party hole, of course. We followed Brooks, Rahm and Bryson for a few holes each, and it was the best golf experience we have ever had. Love the podcast.
There you go. Brooks,
I heard
those 3 players.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you'd walk over broken glass to go and watch them play, and that's a fact.
Yep. I heard on course, and again, I was there last year, although I was in my booth most of the time with headphones on, so I got it drowned out a little bit. But on course, I hear it's phenomenal. I mean,
Apparently they turned it down a bit this year.
Yeah, and we saw by the crowds how much everyone loved it.
Yep.
Stephen
Roach wrote on Twitter, and in fact, Stephen wrote quite a few things on Twitter. So I can't read them all because literally there's about 8.
No.
But I've just got a couple here that I thought.
I think I responded to him on Twitter as well. But you go, Dan.
You did. So Roachy said, a rant to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen at Talk Birdie to Me. I love the pod and I love your TV commentary. However, the apathetic analysis of live events is not good enough, especially from Nick O'Hearn. Average daily crowd for the Australian PGA and the Open combined was 13,000. For Live, average daily crowd, 33,000. The infrastructure and organisation of a second-year event was incredible. Now, Stephen had a whole bunch of other stuff he said, but that's kind of the gist of what he was talking about.
Yep.
Apathetic. Having or showing little or no feeling or interest.
You looked it up before I did.
Were you looking it up too?
Yeah, I was about to.
Well, it's a good word. It's a good word, and probably appropriate in this point of time.
So, Nick, what do you say? What do you say to Rochi?
Well, I'm trying to remember what I actually responded to, but nice rant. Gave him the clapping emoji. Might have to get you to send me each event's analysis because he did go in depth there. That was very impressive. I quite like that. I enjoyed it on site last year, although a bit loud. Just find it hard to watch on TV. But great that it's getting people who might not go to golf get interested, and that's been my view all along. It's something that I find hard to watch on TV, so it's more of an exhibition to me rather than a traditional tournament. We all know that. We've spoken about this over many podcasts. So, but good luck to the people that love it. I'm not begrudging them at all.
Hey, Rochi, this one's for you. Rant. Speak or shout at length in an angry, impassioned way.
And he did.
Now, Michael agrees with Rochi. Michael replied to Rochi and said, "Hey, I couldn't agree more. I love the podcast, but the way Nick and Mark you're treating Liv with such disdain is embarrassing. Embarrassing.
No, it's not the stain. It comes second.
Liv has provided Australian golf with its biggest and most successful tournament in back-to-back years, something that Golf Australia needs to confront and improve on."
And if you listen to Tom Morris, who usually talks about AFL, he had a story last week saying that we might get two. So I imagine that'll be Clive Palmer and your favourite golf course where you won the Australian PGA.
Up at Coolum.
Up at Coolum, yeah. I played there about 2 years ago, and there was a lot of talk that Clive wanted it. Now, he didn't get it. Adelaide got it. But there was talk when I was there that the people for Liv who run it made a trip up there, and they advised that what was in between the tree lines had to be cleaned up.
Right, okay.
And it was all burnt out when I went there.
Oh, okay.
So there's no doubt Clive was doing his best. He's bending over backwards to try and get one.
Well, if again, from a Liv perspective, if you look at it through their eyes, their most successful event is down here in Adelaide. Why don't they do a 3-week run?
They need two. Yep.
Do a tour or a 3-week run.
It's a long way to come down for just one week, isn't it?
Exactly.
So if you came down to Adelaide and then you went to Coolum.
Up to Coolum.
My God.
Maybe stopping at Sydney on the way back. Who knows?
You up for one last whack on Liv?
Oh, keep going.
Because I really like this one. I think this is a good one.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. So this is from Julie Hooker. Now, if I'm right, I think we've spoken about Julie on the pod before, and I think she's from Port Douglas or somewhere up there. She had a masterclass question.
Wouldn't it be ironic if Julie Hooker actually hit slices or something like that? She actually faded the ball.
So Julie said, "I love you guys and I love the podcast, but you all came across like disapproving nanas about Liv. I was one of the 55 pluses that travelled to Adelaide, and there were thousands of us, men and women. We all loved it, and we appreciated having every Liv golfer there and enjoyed every second. Thank God for your phone chat with Sam from the Golf Clearance Outlet, who said how great Liv was."
Mm-hmm.
Good on you, Jules.
Yep.
Look,
I think on site it's fantastic.
Everybody I've spoken to who went there, they said it this year and they said it the year before as well. It's not the best sporting event they've been, not the best golf event they've been to. It's the best sporting event they've been to. So everyone who's going absolutely loves it.
Yeah. So final word on Liv in terms of the feedback today. Clifford Etzel's written in Clifford, and we'll leave the final word with him. "I watch all golf, PGA, Liv, DP, International Series, Australian Tour, and all I want as a fan of golf is for the slagging off of each other to stop. Watch what you want to watch, and whatever happens in the future will be."
Give them a prize. We got prizes?
No.
We've never done that, have we?
We should organise a best prize.
All right, I'm going to send him a book.
Send him a book.
I'm going to send him my book, How to Play Your Best Golf.
Yeah.
That'll be the prize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And next week, I'll send him my DVD, which is 87 ways to make golf simple. Mate,
Jeez.
Is that a prize or
if
is
you
that
want to simplify your game, it's the only way.
There's going to be plenty of copies of that left, I reckon. Pete said, Cape Wickham isn't even the top 4 Australian courses according to golf.com.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the big international lists, which actually I think they do it professionally. They get people to do it properly. Cape Wickham, it's not in one of the top 100. It's not in it. It's in one of the others. Might be the Golf Digest one because of the criteria. Anyway.
Lawrence Cavill wrote in all honesty, how would we plebs know we're not allowed on Royal Melbourne and Cape Wickham is halfway over Bass Strait? I've played over 250 courses and I rate Kingston Heath my number 1.
Well, you're not silly for saying that because a lot of people have it as number 2. Ian Baker Finch thinks it's better than Royal Melbourne West. Royal Melbourne Composite.
It did rate as number one once, didn't it? Maybe
1 year.
10 years ago or
And,
something.
and I'm a member and a lover of Kingston Heath, but it's not the number one golf course in this country. It's not. It's a very good course, but it's not the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after you came in here fired up like a bloody demon last week, Mark, about the whole top 100 thing, we put a poll up.
Oh, good.
And the poll was,
Okay.
did Golf Digest get the number one course in Australia right or wrong in awarding it to Cape Wickham? And we gave them 3 options.
What are the options first?
Cape Wickham deserved to be number one. That's option number 1. Option number 2, it should have been Royal Melbourne. And option number 3, another course. You want to hear the results?
Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
Another course, 21%.
21%.
Another course?
21%.
Said one another course that was not one of those 2.
They must be Kingston Heath members.
Yeah, Kingston Heath got a couple of votes, yes. Cape Wickham, 13%.
13.
Royal Melbourne, 65%,
Yeah, good.
according to Talk Birdie To Me listeners.
good.
And we had a lot of votes too, by the way.
Now, I believe you just got a text message as I just got the exact same text message, and you wouldn't believe this turned up right now. This instant, I kid you not,
I know.
folks, it just hit both Nick and my phones. Read on, please.
Okay.
Oh,
Good.
who?
Yeah, a good buddy of mine, and you know him very well, has just been down there, funnily enough. He said, boys, I know you are about to interview the guy from Golf Digest later on this week. He said, I just played, and as in today at Cape Wickham. Little wind and sun, perfect conditions. How this course is rated number one is a joke. Picturesque, absolutely. Designed fairways had too many tiers, holes 15 and 16, and greens very slow and furry. Top 10, no. Top 20, maybe.
There you go.
Jeez.
Okay.
Righto.
Well,
I think that person's a Royal Melbourne member. Just for
yes,
some balance
he
there.
is.
Just for a little bit of balance.
a little bit of balance.
But I agree.
He doesn't hold back.
I agree with everything you've said, Mark. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
It's not me.
Is that person the kind of person who knows what they're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he does.
golf enthusiast.
Yes.
Okay. We talked about rakes last week. Rakegate. Almost.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I think,
I think we should have a bonus pod
On rakes.
on rakes.
Yeah, you can do it by
I think we
yourself.
should.
So, the name of the person is Golf Beer Coffee. So, I suspect that's not their birth name. I
Okay.
could be wrong. I may be wrong.
Sounds like what he enjoys.
Anyway, what he said here is, hey, boys, Eastwood Golf Club in Melbourne's East has garden rakes. The bunkers aren't flash, and they're made worse by the tiny rakes. Decent rakes aren't expensive, and I agree, make all the difference.
It is true.
Garden rakes.
Garden rakes in golf course bunkers is a disgrace.
Not going to work.
Sorry.
Question for you boys from Kiwi Joe, who we've spoken to before. Hey guys, last week you mentioned that the pairings at the Zurich Classic should be guys from the same country. Is this solely a PGA Tour sanctioned tournament? Ryan Fox is currently the only Kiwi on the PGA Tour. So does that mean that, based on what you're saying, he would not be able to enter the event because he's the only Kiwi? Do you feel the World Cup of Golf should become a big event again? The last one was in 2018, and the list of winners is amazing. I saw, Nick, you played a couple of times.
Yes, I certainly did. Now, the tournament in New Orleans, I can't remember the criteria anymore, but I think the way it works is whoever is the highest ranked player gets to choose his partner, I think, from memory.
That's the way it used to be, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. Now, obviously, you want to play with the person you want to play with, so I'd love it if you could choose anyone you want, as long as they're on a professional tour around the world. Like Ryan Fox, he could go, okay, I might want to play with one of the Hillier boys or something like that, who fell in New Zealand.
Maybe he wants to play with Kazuma.
There you go, yeah. And the Swedes could play together and so on and so forth. So
the top-ranked player can choose whoever he
choose
wants
whoever
from
they
that
want.
country.
Yes. The World Cup used to be decided like that as well.
Yeah.
Because one of the World Cups I played in, I'm trying to remember who I chose. I chose Nathan Green. He played with me. We went up to
nice.
China. Remember Greenie?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Won 500,000 in a hole in one of the 12th hole of the
That's
Australian Masters.
Exactly right.
Got a message from the US here, boys.
Okay,
James from Arizona.
Jeez,
Hey guys,
we're going
I've
deep these
subscribed.
days.
Yeah, I subscribed to the pod via your connection to the delightful Hannah Gregg.
Oh, great.
I will play my desert golf in Arizona, though. I would struggle worrying about tiger snakes on every tee. Cheers. Fair enough.
Rattlesnakes over there.
Yeah,
The crocodiles are the ones I can't get over.
yeah.
Golf with crocodiles. No.
That is interesting, isn't it? And they don't seem to be too worried
Alligators.
about
Thank you.
Alligators.
Alligators.
Although I've played up at a place called Groot Island in the far north of Australia where there were crocodiles going through the creeks up there in the Northern Territory.
Which one's more dangerous?
Crocodiles, I think.
Crocodiles,
Yes,
absolutely.
of course
Salties particularly.
Of course they are.
More dangerous than freshies.
Yeah.
Got a question for you from Rob. Rob has said, I'm planning a golf trip for the lads and I to northern New South Wales with the primary aim of playing Bonneville. And I'm wondering if you guys could recommend other must-play courses in the northern New South Wales region. We're happy to hit the road seeking unforgettable golf experiences once we have ticked Bonneville off the list. Looking forward to hearing from you. Cheers, Rob.
Bonneville, northern New South Wales. I'm just going to say north of Sydney.
Okay. Yeah, I'll leave this one to you, I think.
Newcastle, which I have never played.
Actually, I played Trainee Champs there many, many years
Was it
ago.
good?
Was it? What's it called? Stockport or something like that?
I thought it was
Stockton.
I thought it was
Stockton.
I thought it was just Newcastle Golf Club.
Maybe I think that whatever that one was that I played up there, but it was
that
very,
where's that top 100 list? Let me
very,
have a
very,
quick look.
very, very tree lined, and I was not hitting it very straight. I remember that week, and wasn't pretty.
I just apologise to Rob. I don't think Newcastle is quite northern New South Wales, Mark. We'll go with it.
It's the best I can do.
Okay, we'll go with it.
Let me just see if it's in.
He said north of Sydney. So.
Yeah.
Newcastle is currently number 31
31. There you go.
in this list that has Cape Wickham as number 1.
Oh.
So take it for what that's worth.
So you're saying Newcastle's worth a look? I'm ignoring
I'm
that.
saying Newcastle is ranked on this particular list as number 31.
Mate, if you keep going this way, Steve from Golf Digest may not come on the pod on Thursday.
I hope he doesn't listen to this first.
Jeez.
Righto.
So Newcastle, you're saying is worth a look for
Well, it's number
for Rob.
31, yeah.
Nick, anything, or you got nothing?
Cypress Lakes,
Cypress Lakes,
up in the Hunter Valley.
That was a TP. Which one was that?
A WebEx Players Series
WebEx Players
event.
Series event, yeah.
Go chat with my mate Brett Holdway, who's up there, and make sure you have a good time.
Actually, listener, if you know of great northern New South Wales golf clubs that should be on this list, please get in contact with our socials.
Yep. Couple of last comments here, boys. Glenn has got a question for Nick. I'm curious, Nick, about your left thumb position on the grip in your one hopper masterclass video. Do you recommend that position?
My left thumb position. I'm going to have to go back and have a look at the video because
That's your bottom
that's
hand,
my bottom
right?
hand.
Yeah.
It's generally just across.
Do you want me to,
Was it sitting on top?
Do you want me to play the video
Yeah,
now?
let's have a look.
Here we go. Have a look at this, Nick. While you're looking at it, my masterclass is chipping into the grain. Okay, a little bit
Okay.
later.
I like it.
It's what stuffed so many people up.
Gee, that was a good shot.
Yeah, it was a good shot.
First take.
It was a good camera work too.
Oh, my wife is the best.
Is it on the top or is it on the side of the grip? Your bottom thumb?
It's my normal golf grip.
Yeah, okay.
Where as the bottom hand, the thumb is not exactly on top. It's just slightly to the side. Yeah.
Oh.
So where you'd normally have it, basically.
So there's nothing. There's no
no,
specific
there's-
reason for it as such.
No, I tend to pull it up and down a bit just because I'm getting a feel for it. But no,
Yeah,
Go
gotcha.
on.
nothing different.
No more feedback, surely.
Two to end on.
Come on.
Paul Carrigan has said, "I'm dying to know what Monty did to you, Mark. Bonus pod, perhaps."
I'll tell the story one day.
Bonus pod.
Bonus pod, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll tell the story of the final round in the 1992 Australian Open at the Lakes Golf Club,
Ooh, geez, okay, that sounds good.
where I shot 72 and he shot 73.
Last one here from the last one here from Mark Goodman. Last week, boys, a listener had Shank on Wordle. Now, before I go out and play the monthly medal at the weekend, Wordle has Slice.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
I thought it was
There
going
it
to
is.
be.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Slice. There it is.
Thought it was going to be Hosel.
Yes. I think it has to have 5 letters, so I don't think it does. Anyway, that's the feedback. Well, lots of it, and keep it coming. We're getting heaps of it, and we love it.
Time for the Ping Global results.
Yes, and in honour of my good friend Stephen Roach on Twitter, I'm going to start with the Live Singapore results this week at Sentosa.
You have been bullied. You've been bullied into doing that, haven't
No,
you?
I'm only kidding. We'll go with the... No, I will. I'll do it for Roachy. But as we know, Brooks Koepka, ominous signs, had the victory there in Singapore.
Fourth one.
I do notice that he doesn't wear the team logo. He's on
Yeah, just
Team
Nike
Smash,
man.
just Nike. So is that a bit of a statement, or I would have thought they would have had to wear the team logos because I think everyone else does.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is. Well, when we talk to James Watson from Live,
That'd be a good one.
we'll put that in the question list.
Yes. Tied for second, though, was